future days,
76 years ago, Franklin Delano Roosevelt made his famous Four Freedoms speech, in which he proclaimed our fundamental rights.
Upon four essential human freedoms.
Today, to protest the rise in bigotry and hatred, and to affirm that the four freedoms are for all our citizens, over 2,000 people gathered in downtown Pittsfield, Massachusetts to march. The event was organized by the nonpartisan Four Freedoms Coalition, consisting of over 150 community groups, nonprofits, faith communities, labor unions, businesses, and elected officials.
I know. Good to see you. Very good.
From senators to tradespeople to seniors to students, they gathered at the St. Joseph's Church to proclaim that the four freedoms are for everyone. The march culminated at the First Church of Christ, where a standing room-only crowd waited to hear elected officials, community leaders, and special guests speak on the values that hold us together.
It is my sacred and joyful privilege to welcome you, the citizens of, yes, and you as well, the citizens of Berkshire County, to our house of worship.
At first, the program developers had the title listed as Master of Ceremonies. But I corrected to Mistress of Ceremonies only. And the ongoing action we will all take to ensure that bigotry, to ensure that prejudices of any kind will not be rooted in our city, in our county, and in our country, and in this world.
Let's commit ourselves right here, right where our feet are, to lift each other up, to value dignity for every person, and the obligation of being good citizens to each other.
And my question to you is, are you willing in 2017 to fight for those? But that's because there are others out there who also have a dream. They dream that one day our nation will be surrounded by a wall built with bigotry and hate. They have a dream that one day our nation will judge you by your race, by your religion, by the country of your origin. They have a dream that one day our nation will have no more Muslims, or mosques, or Planned Parenthood, or Social Security. These people do not want the dream of Dr. King or President Roosevelt to be realized. They want to see it crushed. That is why you are here today.
Growing up as I did, the name Roosevelt was pretty much saintly, because the idea had been, for the first time, we had been given a chance. And that's what I hope we bequeath to succeeding generations, that what good had come to us, we want to give the next generation a chance. So we have today the vision of Roosevelt, and we have the imagery of Rockwell. And it has both withstood the test of time.
The way we achieve freedom from fear is through solidarity, through listening to what people have to say, using our ability to speak to support them, defend them, and stand with them. This is a scary moment, It's a time when it looks like the progress we've made over the last 70 years might reverse, where it looks like the world, instead of getting closer together, might shrink and might come apart. But the good news is that we get to decide how big a world we want to live in. We get to decide how to speak, how to listen, and how to stand together against fear.
Learn what others believe in. You'll start to see that there are more commonalities than differences, particularly between the three major Abrahamic faiths: Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. When I tell people that Muslims believe in and love Jesus, son of Mary, and his blessed mother, and that Muslims, Christians, and Jews all accept the father Abraham for his significance in the creation of those religions, you'd be surprised at how many people don't know that.
Notable amongst the speakers was none other than James Roosevelt, grandson of Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Today we face unprecedented assaults on each of the four freedoms. On freedom of speech, we've seen the banning of the Washington Post and BuzzFeed from presidential campaign events. We've seen fake news from Breitbart to Alex Jones to RT, the Russian propaganda television network that's carried on many of our cable systems. We've seen freedom of worship attacked for the first time in 75 years, an attempt to ban people of a particular religion from this country and to create a registry of those people. And we see a serious attack on freedom from fear. From Oklahoma City to chants of "go back where you came from," to "string her up," to Orlando, to Fort Lauderdale, we are confronted by a culture of weapons and verbal assault.
And when you hear my accent and you ask me where I am, I tell you Mexico. I'm a Mexican immigrant. And all you see is a criminal, a dangerous person. As far as I'm concerned, and I know I'm a little bit crazy, I know I've never killed anybody. I know I've never sold or dealt or used illegal drugs. I know I've never raped anybody. I know I'm not the best person, and nobody sent me here, by the way. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm a decent person. Thank you.
As a member of the LGBTQ community, why do we have to have so many letters? I understand the fear that many of us feel at times because people whose opinions and values are not the same as ours and they express it. But I also understand that prejudice and bigotry is not something that just affects members of the gay community, but also affects people of color, immigrants, people with disabilities, people with different religious views, and the list goes on and on. Today, I stand with all of you to make a statement that hatred, prejudice, and bigotry must be overcome.
Labor unions remain an integral part of the progressive agenda, having brought us the 40-hour work week, and child labor laws and workplace safety. Many of our mothers, grandmothers, and great-grandmothers learned to organize and to effect change in labor unions. Nothing is more liberating than knowing you can pay your bills.
All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. We are endowed with the reason and ethics and should act towards one another in the spirit of brotherhood and sisterhood. Let's make these four freedoms of 1941 have true meaning for all in 2017.
Afterwards, the crowd moved upstairs, where a jam-packed room full of community groups had set up tables to inform people on an array of issues and to recruit new members to their cause. This is just the beginning for the Four Freedoms Coalition and other groups springing to action across the United States to fight for all of our rights. For the Berkshire Edge, this is Jim Francione.
We're going to sing it like a hymn. This land is your land. This